Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon,
I'm Amir.
and welcome to the Mustcast, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how it's used across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. As usual, we'll start with what media we're consuming. Amir, you can begin.
All right, so I remember talking about the fact that I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to get the Flamekeeper title in Destiny, and guess what? I got it. It took so long. It was so many all-nighters, but I finally got it. I feel accomplished, and now I'm not going to touch Destiny until October when the Halloween event starts. But yeah, no, I'm super proud that I got that title because it took everything out of me. Actually, it really wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be to get that title. The hardest parts were the Crucible parts, were just PvP, because everybody in PvP plays like there's a gun to their head, and if they die, then they die in real life. I don't understand why people play casual games like that, but hey,
There was a horror
um,
movie that I can't remember the name of that was about like these kids playing these teenagers playing what was it? It was like a RPG, and if they died in the game, they died in real life.
Sword Art Online.
No, it was a movie. It was a horror movie.
Okay. Um, Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of Destiny, and I'm finally done playing Destiny. I'm no longer playing Destiny for a little bit. I might hop on again soon, some point, but I don't know when that's gonna be. Um, I've been playing multiverses. I've been going up against a lot of like really, really, really good players in multiverses, and I don't know where they're all coming out of the woodwork from. But like, I'm actually having to put on like a challenge now, and it's kind of fun. I went against. It was actually really funny because I saw a meme. It was like multiverses slander, and it was talking about like Harley Quinn mains being complete sweats and spending like hours in the lab. And I was like, I've only faced one Harley Quinn. They weren't that good. And literally, as soon as I stopped watching that meme, I had to date the hardest multiverses match of my life against Harley Quinn. I was playing multiverses. Whoever that was playing Injustice. I swear to God, they were like pro Evo fighting game tournament. We went back and forth. I got one win in the second round, and then they won the third round. But they were really like really 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 good.
Yeah, I
Um,
love when I haven't played it in a couple of days, but I love when I get challenged. I'm like, man, I'm sitting here beating up little kids, and then somebody
that's
comes
what
up.
I love going up against the actual challenge. It feels so good. I don't have to hold back anymore. It's good. It's fun.
Because you can
Um,
tell when you're beating up a little kid that's just sitting there having fun.
yeah, and I feel so bad about it because I'm like, I remember being that little kid, but now I'm beating that little kid. It feels bad. Um, it doesn't stop me though,
Nobody
but
take that out of context.
it does sound terrible out of context. I hope y'all listened to the prior 2 minutes of this podcast before you heard me say that. Anyway, I've also been watching this show called Banshee, which is really good. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's about this thief who just got out of prison and he's going on the run, but instead of like actually going on the run, he winds up assuming the identity of a town sheriff in a small Pennsylvania town.
Oh, it's starring
Um,
Homelander. I've heard of the show.
yeah, and it's just so weird. It's a really good show. It's not for children. It is maybe the most adult show that I've ever seen,
Yeah,
but it's not for children whatsoever.
I've only heard
Um,
of this show because it stars Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander. That's the only reason I've ever heard of the show. Because whenever people talk about his performance in The Boys, they always go, "You should check out Banshee."
he is very good in Banshee. He is very, very good. But it's so weird seeing him play like this thief turned sheriff character who literally has no superpowers, but you recognize all the Homelander mannerisms. You're like, I can tell when he's about to like beat the mess out of somebody because I'm like, oh, Homelander. He looks like Homelander right now. Homelander would beat the mess out of somebody if his face was like that. And he still has like the super intense, scary stare, but like there's no laser eyes coming out of it. It's kind of weird sometimes, but it's really good. It's a really really good show. I recommend everybody watch it that's over the age of 18 because I can't recommend this show to anyone under the age of 18 because this show quite literally teeters the line between yeah. But it is very good. It is a very good show. Other than that, I don't think I've really been consuming much media outside of like random YouTube videos.
Okay, well, for me, I rewatched Multiverse of Madness finally, and I liked it a whole lot more. I feel like after watching it the first time, I was like I had a good time, but I was disappointed because I was expecting more. And this time, I liked it better. I liked it even more watching it the second time. It was visually very fun. It's very last time we said it's a well directed film, but I wasn't a big fan of the writing, and it's the writing still isn't great. There's a bunch of weird jokes that don't need to be there, and America is not a character, she's just a plot device. um but watching it again, the writing is a little bit better than it was than I felt like it was the first time I was watching it, but still not great. And the directing really carries this film 100%. The directing carries it far. But yeah, I also watched Prey on Hulu. Prey is a Predator movie. Um, it it's a it's a fun thriller about hunters becoming hunted and then becoming hunters again, like every Predator movie is. It came out on August 5th, so Friday, um, from now, the Friday before now, and it takes place 300 years ago in like 1917, and stars Amber Midthunder, which is like the greatest last name I've ever heard in my entire life. I need to learn more about the like how Native Americans like like how their last names work, because I have a story that I'm writing that involves a version of America where it was never colonized, and Native American last names are very interesting. But she plays a character named Naru, who's a young Comanche warrior, and the Comanche are a Native American tribe located in the Southern Plains in U.S. And uh, there's a lot of people who, whenever a woman is a main character in anything, they immediately call her Mary Sue or plenty of other things, and it's ridiculous. And this whole movie shows her failing and then learning from those mistakes and getting better. And eventually, of course, I don't think it's a spoiler to say the predator, loses, like in every movie. Somehow the predator loses after killing a bunch of people, of course. But yeah, it was cool. I liked it a lot. It was really fun. It's been one of the best Predator movies in a while. I'm gonna watch the first one because I haven't seen it in a very long time. Yeah, it's a good movie. The whole time I was watching, I couldn't help but imagine her as a Mortal Kombat guest character, especially since the Predator was a Mortal Kombat guest character, but also because there's like a bunch of '80s action movie stars that are guest characters in Mortal Kombat 11, and I feel like she has that energy of a '80s action movie star, mostly because she's in a series that started in the '80s. And she has like this tomahawk that she ties to a rope that she throws around. That's really cool, and I was like, she would be a great Mortal Kombat guest character. But yeah, you should check out Prey if you uh, are interested in it. I also rewatched Everything Everywhere All at Once. Still great. It's still so good. Oh my god, it's one of my favorite movies that came out this year. If you haven't seen that, Amir, you need to see Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's a really good multiverse movie. It's a better multiverse movie than Multiverse of Madness for sure. It's just a better movie overall than Multiverse of Madness, but the way it utilizes multiple universes is definitely much better than Multiverse of Madness does, because they go to what, three different universes. They have one scene where they go through a bunch, but that was like nothing. It's a really good movie. I also watched Whiplash with J.K. Simmons and oh man, I can't remember his name. Let me look up his name real quick. He played Mr. Fantastic in that horrible Fantastic Four movie. Miles Teller. Whiplash is about drumming, jazz drumming specifically, and it's about a kid who's being pushed over the edge by a very bad and abusive band instructor, and played by J.K. Simmons, who's jacked in that role. He's like unnecessarily buff, but it makes his character more intimidating. It's a great movie. It's another one that I would 100% recommend. Just been watching a lot of great movies past few days. Uh, I watched a documentary, one of the many documentaries I watched about this subject on HBO called Milestone Generations. It's about Milestone Media, the comic company that created characters like Icon and Hardware, and most famously Static, or Static Shock as most people would know him. His name isn't Static Shock, it's always just been Static, even in the cartoon. It's just Static. The show is called Static Shock. His name is just Static. I always have to say that. But yeah, it's good. Especially if you want to learn about Milestone and how it came about, and this the first black owned comic, you know creators, and they were published by DC. and they still are being published by DC today. They had a falling out at some point in the mid to late '90s, but eventually, you know, they rebuilt that through one of the co-creators work on DC TV, excuse me, DC animated shows, like Justice League and of course Static, and that person is Dwayne McDuffie, who passed away a few years ago. But yeah, man, I wish he was still around because I can only imagine what DC cartoons would look like if he was still around today, man. But yeah, you guys should definitely check that out. Dennis Cohen, they talk about him a lot. So I've watched several other documentaries about Milestone on YouTube. One that was specifically about Dwayne McDuffie and one that was about Milestone. Um, and I'll see if I can remember the names. Find the names of those and put them up on screen. But this one goes more into Dennis Cowan's, who's one of the co-creators, influence on the creation of Milestone, and he's an artist and a writer, and he is currently drawing the current hardware, or at least he drew the first um, run or of this current hardware iteration, which in my opinion was the best of all of the. Well, I'll get to that later because I'm going to talk about comics, and one of those is hardware. And yeah, he I didn't realize that he was essentially the linchpin. He was the person who kind of came up with the idea, and he was very much a big leader in the whole operation. And I didn't know that he was essentially the person, because I always hear about Dwayne McDuffie, him being the driving power, creative power behind Milestone, but it turns out Dennis Cowan was also like essentially kind of the leader of the whole movement. So yeah, that's cool. Uh, I watched Primal on HBO Max as well. Man, so many good things on HBO Max, but we'll get to that later. Primal's great. It's by Genny Tartakovsky, creative Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack, and it's good. Just like Samurai Jack, it's a lot of not silence, but not a lot of speaking, and a lot of action and a lot of storytelling through just uh through the animation itself, and sound design outside of language. It's real outside of spoken word. It's really good. If you like Samurai Jack, you'll like Primal. I finally finished Gravity Falls, man. It was great. This last episode was great. It wrapped up everything really nice, and a nice little tight bow. It was fantastic. I would love if Gravity Falls came back with a movie, just one animated movie, of, to end it all. That takes place like 5 years in the future, like all the characters, or even further, really, and all the characters are older. I feel like that would be fun. Uh, let's see. I've been watching Batman the animated series, and that led me to watching Superman the animated series. I had started watching it. And I had watched it like the 3-part premiere, which is essentially showing Superman's origin, the destruction of Krypton, and Superman going to Earth and all of that, and then him going on his first like mission as Superman. And then I watched the 4th episode, which was the introduction of Toyman in that animated series, and it was a great episode. The whole time I'm watching, I'm just sitting there smiling, like, man, this is some good Superman content, and I just needed some Superman at that moment. I don't know why. I just needed some Superman, and I'm gonna watch some more of that later. Superman anime series is great. If you think Superman is boring, you can't tell good stories with him, watch Superman anime series. And in that episode, they do something that I feel like is something that always has to be done with Superman, that I think helps make his stories more interesting, is he has to not only solve a problem that he can, for the most part, easily solve, but he has to figure out how to do it without revealing his identity, and that's always fun to watch. In terms of video games, I've been playing Bayonetta. I bought that in like this combo pack with another platinum game called Vanquish, which is like a third-person shooter. And it was at a discount, so I was like, I've been wanting to play Bayonetta, so. But unfortunately, the third one's about to come out, and that's why I wanted to play it. But the second one and the third one are Switch exclusive, Nintendo Switch exclusive. So, it'll be a while before I play the second and third one, but I'll watch some people play this third one. And Multiverses, I've been playing it as well. I'm a Finn main, like 80% of the people playing Multiverses are. I haven't played it in a couple days though. I need to get back on it. Me and you played a little bit together. And that was fun. One of those teams was for sure like children, because we just like destroyed them, and it was like sad. But yeah, Multiverse is fun. Moving on to animation. So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem is a animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, directed by Seth Rogen, that's releasing August 23rd, 2023. And I love me some Ninja Turtles. I've been watching. Recently the TMNT Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies came out on Netflix, and I've been watching the first season of that show on Netflix as well. I need to catch up on that and finish it so I can watch the movie. It's good. It's more of a, it's a 15-minute long episode format with 30-minute episodes, but split into two parts, 15-minute parts, like shows like Adventure Time and Courage Cowardly Dog and shows like that. And it leans more. It has really when there's some action, the animation is beautiful, beautifully choreographed and animated fights. It's amazing, but it's mostly it's more of a comedy. It doesn't take itself super seriously. It brings in more mystical elements, and it's very fun. It's a good cartoon. I like it. I'm liking it a lot so far. Um, I'm excited to finish it and check out the movie. So have you watched The Dragon Prince, Amir?
I saw a little bit of the first season, like a very small amount, and it didn't really interest me. But as I begin to DM in Dungeons and Dragons, I might get more into it because I'm always looking for inspiration for my world.
Yeah, so season 4 is releasing November this year, 2022, and it will be titled Mystery of Aravos. And I watched the first 3 seasons. I'm gonna be real with you, I don't have the best memory of what happened in those 3 seasons. Maybe it was because I binged it, but for those who don't know, it's Aaron Ahaz, the lead writer, was a lead writer on Avatar: The Last Airbender, and he's a co-writer of The Dragon Prince, and it definitely has a similar energy in terms of the way the story is told and the way the characters act. It helps that the main character is voiced by Sokka's actor Jack DeSena. I enjoyed the first 3 seasons, but like I said, I barely remember what happened. I might have to rewatch it before the fourth season comes out, or watch some recap or something. Um, but yeah, moving on to comics. Teen Justice. I feel like the last issue might be out by now. I don't know. I need to check. But it's real fun. I like Jess Chambers. They're a fun character. I really just want a Jess Chambers solo comic, to be honest. But I am enjoying the rest of the Teen Justice team. They're essentially that world that they live in. The Earth 11 is a gender swapped uh it's a gender swap world. All the characters are gender swapped. The Justice League and the Teen Justice, essentially a combination of Teen Titans and Young Justice. And yeah, it's a fun comic. I'm really liking it. I just want to see more of Jess, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for them. They were the future state, the Flash in future state, and I like them. So Dark Knights of Steel. I've kind of given up on it. I'm dropping it. Um, I'm not going to be continuing this story unless I hear something spectacular happens. From the beginning, its pacing has been very, very strange. Like me, you talked about how spoiler alert for if you're planning on reading Dark Knights of Steel. Me, you talked about how we thought it was weird that they killed Black Lightning so early when this was such a cool version of Black Lightning, a character who already doesn't get the respect he deserves in the comics. You have this really cool version of this character in your comic who's this king of this kingdom of magic users and within the or excuse me, not magic users but metahumans and users within the this like a fantasy version of the DC universe, and you just kill them off immediately. You don't even let them breathe for a little bit longer. I didn't like it. And yeah, the pacing has just gotten worse and worse as the story's gone on. Like before we were talking about Tom King, and I made a mistake and I confused him with Tom Taylor, which a lot of people do all the time on Twitter. um, where I said like he's hit or miss. I don't think Tom King is hit or miss. Tom King is mostly hit. I meant to say Tom Taylor is hit or miss, and this is one of those misses for Tom Taylor. He's really fumbling the bag on this one. He had a good premise that started pretty strong, and there's still some good ideas in it, but this is a 12 issue series, and it's on the seventh issue, and the pacing is abysmal. The Flash 784. Well, how do you feel about Dark Knight of Steel from just what you know about it? Because I know you haven't read it.
I literally have not read it, and I literally don't have an opinion on it. I've only ever read like small previews about it and like small posts on Instagram. I thought the premise was cool. I thought the art was amazing. That's really about it.
Yeah, that's about all it has going for it. So the Flash 784. So the world where Wiley's kids ended up, Jay and Iris, ends up being a home to a character called Dark Flash, which is a Batman and Flash amalgamation with a really cool design. He wears like a dark red costume, and he still has like Batman's cape and the ears and stuff. It's real cool. But the lightning bolts on his wrist and his chest are like actual lightning. Um, yeah, it's cool, and they have to run from him. uh, so Barry, Wily and Wallace found Barry, who they went into the multiverse to look for, and he's trapped in like a dream world where they have to save him. And Wally confronts him, but Barry is seeing the Reverse Flash, so he attacks him. And Wallace goes off to follow that universe's version of Wally, and ends up being pulled into the kind of illusion. And in this illusion, he is in his silver suit from the New 52, his New 52 future, and he's the main Flash. But he doesn't go by Flash, despite the fact that Wally, this version, like the first Wally, says that he's retired and that Wallace is the main Flash. But he goes by Burst, which I don't like that name. I feel like why wouldn't he just go by Flash, or if anything, like Mercury, since he's wearing silver, and it wouldn't be weird for there to be two people with Mercury in their name since there are multiple Flashes. Um, but what were you about to say? Because you just unmuted.
I was about to crack up. That's all.
Yeah, Burst is a horrible name. um, yeah, I like the Flash a lot. The Flash is fantastic. I've like book I've created certain lists in the DC Infinite app because I'm planning on getting a subscription to read certain comics, and one of those in my list is Mark Waid's run on the Flash. No, the entirety of Wally's time as the Flash. And I'm excited to read that eventually. Also, was it Max Mercury and Jesse Quicker? Of course, and the very first Flash. Jay Garrick are in this comic as well, and Jay went to go save Iris and Jay. His name's also Jay, and Max and Max and Jesse ended up in this world, this like Mad Max world. I'm sure that was on purpose because his name's Max, and the Flash is essentially driving a car running away from like road warriors. So Black Adam is dead, and his descendant Malik takes up the mantle, and they call him. So Black Adam wants to like he wants his descendant to essentially like revitalize his image because he's known as this like bad person. And he goes, you will be called White Adam as opposed to Black Adam because people think that's evil. And then Malik is black, so Malik is like he's black and he's young, and he's like a college student, and he's from New York, and he's just like no, I'm not gonna be called White Adam. What are you talking about? I'm just gonna call myself Black Adam, even if my costume is essentially reverse colors of Shazam, and it's mostly white with a red cape. It looks really cool. But he's like, yeah, no, I'm not going by White Adam. That's stupid. Hardware. So like I said, it still remains the best of the Milestone comics. The art by Dennis Cowan is real good, even though, like I said before, every character's face looks different every time he draws them, and it's weird. It's very strange. I don't know if just that's just him getting older, but like it's weird. His art's still good though. I started reading this manga called Witch Hat uh I'll I can never remember how to pronounce this word. Let me look it up real quick. Adelaide. That's what it is. Is Adelaide. There we go. It's called Witch Hat Adelaide. I'm gonna have to cut all that out. But it's essentially I don't know, I feel like this might interest you. It's a manga about a world that on the surface seems very similar to Harry Potter, if the Muggles knew about magic. And there are people who are born with the ability to perform magic and those who aren't. Except that that's not true at all. And the witches, as they're called, are keeping it a secret as to how magic is really performed. And the story follows a little girl who mistakenly discovers the secret and is taken under the wing of a witch to learn how to become a witch. It's very interesting. It's fun so far. I've read, was it the first issue? Excuse me, first volume was like included with Comixology Unlimited subscription. Which I've also been using to read The Walking Dead, which is ridiculous. It is insane. This comic is wild. Have you read any of The Walking Dead?
I know about the Rick 3000 or the Rick 2000 or whatever it is. That's pretty much all I know about it. Other than that, I've been kind of avoiding The Walking Dead. I want to read it eventually because I know how wild Invincible was, and I've heard that it's pretty wild.
Bro,
I'm just like really avoiding it, but I'll read it eventually.
Walking Dead is so wild, bro. It's ridiculous. It's just fun watching these people slowly devolve into madness. It's crazy. But moving on to TV and film. Atlanta is going to be airing its final season this September, much sooner than I expected. I feel like the last season was like yesterday. Season 4 is coming up, and I'll be sad to see it go, but it's better for it to end before it overstays its welcome because I feel like this show could only go so far. It's a really fun show. If Have you watched Atlanta?
I keep wanting to. I really want to watch Atlanta so bad, and I keep forgetting and I keep starting something new. When I finish Banshee, I'll watch it.
Yeah, it's great. My favorite episode is still like an episode in season 2 called Teddy Perkins. That's very like Michael Jackson inspired, and I'll leave it at that. It's a strange episode. You'll enjoy it. Andor is being delayed to September 21st, and will premiere with 3 episodes. Likely so that it doesn't it's premiering then. Likely so it doesn't step on the toes of She-Hulk, like Kenobi did with Miss Marvel. Kenobi completely took the wind out of the sails of Miss Marvel, and they're probably trying to avoid a situation like that by having them have it happen like a month after She-Hulk, which I'm excited for. Comes out She-Hulk comes out was it August 18th on a Thursday instead of Wednesday or Friday. So yeah, that'll be fun. Flash season 9 will be the final season of the show with 13 episodes. How you feeling about that, bro?
I could care less. The show ended in season 3 for me. I really don't care anymore.
I'll be watching this season in its entirety. Because The Flash has easily been my favorite of the Arrowverse shows, even more than Arrow. Even though I think, as a whole, Arrow has been more consistently good. Even though it has its moments, it's still, I feel like Arrow has been more consistently good. I just find the world of the Flash and the characters just more fun and interesting to watch. Um, so yeah, I've this show is part of the reason why the Flash is a character. Even though it's Wally specifically that I like, it's still like Barry and his existence, and this show has really elevated the Flash as a character in my mind, and that's why Wally has become one of my favorite superheroes ever. He's easily top 3, just below Spider-Man and Batman because of this show. So I will always have fond memories of this show, and I'll be watching this last season. So have you heard the news about the Joker sequel titled Folie à Deux?
Unfortunately, I'm really not excited about that. I didn't like the first Joker movie all that much. I mean, it was alright as a movie. I have some really bad memories associated with it, but it was just alright as a movie, and I really don't think it needs a sequel whatsoever.
So I agree that it was alright, but I don't agree that it does need a sequel. I think it could do good with a sequel. But yeah, it was alright. It wasn't like anything spectacular or special. And from my understanding, I've never seen the movie, but it pulls heavily from a film called King's Comedy. Was it called King of Comedy? Yeah. And a lot of people say it's kind of just that movie, but with the Joker. And I feel like that definitely, if I ever saw that movie, that would probably affect my opinion of the Joker. And like yeah, it was an alright movie. It wasn't anything spectacular. Um, but I'm interested in a sequel. I'm interested to see what they would go with this character and the universe that they're building. And supposedly Lady Gaga will be playing Harley Quinn, and that the movie will be a musical. And honestly, I was probably gonna see the movie either way. Maybe not. Maybe I wouldn't have saw it in theaters. I probably still won't. Depending on I don't know. Maybe the reviews say it's amazing, and I decide to see it in theaters. But it being a musical makes me very interested, because that's weird, and that it'll be probably fun to see. Uh, Batgirl was canceled. $90 million down the drain with this movie's cancellation by W Discovery. More Discovery than WB, but the Hollywood Reporter cites the reasons as being cost cutting due to rising cost of the film due to COVID procedures, and them refocusing on theatrical releases as opposed to direct to HBO Max releases. They also say that the small budget of 90 mil wouldn't result in the spectacle that audiences have come to expect from DC. And to that I say we've come to expect bad or mediocre films from DC, whether they have a big budget or not. And with this movie essentially being almost complete according to the people who worked on it, and since they're probably 100% rebooting with the Flash movie, I see no reason as to why they didn't just let them finish this movie, except for one, and we'll get to that later. And you think it'd be better to make some money rather than no money, But all of this just leads up to the infamous discussion that's been happening on the internet right now. But before I say that, and you know what it is, Amir, so don't talk about it. Just tell me how you feel about Batgirl being canceled specifically.
Uh, I would have liked to have seen it specifically just because I was very interested in seeing Michael Keaton's new Batman suit, and I've heard that I've heard some it's I don't really care that much. I liked the idea of Brendan Fraser being Firefly.
Yeah,
You know,
he's a great robot man.
he is.
But yeah, this leads up to the discussion of HBO Max being no more. So first I'll start with a few like bullet points of things that are the biggest things that are happening with this thing. So Discovery is making a new app. If you don't know, Discovery is has bought HBO Max from AT&T, and they're making a new app. Number one. Number two, HBO Max will no longer exist, and it will be phased in with HBO in a new app. Um, and because of that, a lot of HBO shows will be axed because of the merger. And last but not least, there are major layoffs happening because of quote unquote redundant roles. So a lot of people are being fired because of this merger. And yeah, so shows like Doom Patrol, Harley Quinn, and Close Enough are at risk of being canceled. The only show out of all of those that I didn't list that I'm because I'm okay with it being canceled is Titans. Titans could die for all I care. That show's horrible. But yeah, people are really afraid that HBO is going to lose its really, really rich library of series and films. And I didn't realize it until people kept pointing it out. And I was just like, HBO is 100% my favorite streaming service right now. I've been using it a lot lately. Like, literally right before all of this news came out, I was watching so much stuff on HBO. Like I said, I was watching Superman anime series, watching Batman. And of course, they're not going to get rid of those two things because they posted a graphic showing like and I sent them to you right before we started recording, like the things that they will be focusing on, and two of the three big ones from DC are Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. So those shows aren't going anywhere, but there are other shows that could very easily be lost to time and don't have like physical versions available for people to purchase, so they'll just be gone. One of the things that people are especially afraid of losing is Studio Ghibli films, which aren't owned by WB and can only be found digitally altogether on HBO Max. And apparently, from my understanding, and what I've read is that Studio Ghibli have already been kind of tentative when it comes to putting their stuff on a digital platform, especially altogether. And they kind of usually just stick to physical releases, and you have to buy those physically. And with all that's happening now, there's a chance they might just snatch those rights back, depending on what the contract says. And we might not have Studio Ghibli films all on one app anymore, and that would suck. Because I've been slowly going through the ones that I've been most interested in, because I've only seen before HBO Max, before they were on HBO Max, I only seen one because Miss Harris used to play Ponyo a lot in class. She played it like several times. She likes that movie a lot. Well, they like that movie a lot. And uh, was I've also seen Howl's Moving Castle. That was the first one I watched on HBO Max. So yeah, that would suck. But the graphics, right? So in these graphics, WB released from like a meeting they were having, some internal meeting. Um, so one of them was about like their viewer base, the viewer base of both HBO Max and the viewer base of Discovery Plus. I'm just gonna read what they say and then we can talk about it. So they claim that HBO Max is a male skew. It's more scripted. And it's a home of fandoms, which isn't inaccurate. The fandom part specifically. Discovery Plus is apparently female skewed, unscripted. It's a lean back, comforting viewing experience, and it's a home of genre dims, which I don't know what the hell that means. Um, and everything about what I just said is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. First off, um, I feel like in my experience, especially online, looking at like Twitter especially, I'm on Twitter a lot. It's probably my favorite social media platform. A lot of the people like spearheading a lot of the fandoms that I see on Twitter are usually women. Um, if I'm being honest, a lot of the people I follow on Twitter are women who are constantly posting stuff, and saying that HBO Max is the home of fandoms and is male skewed is ridiculous when there are so many shows on HBO Max that are targeting specifically women. It's 100% not male skew. It's probably an equal skew, if not maybe more women than men watch HBO Max, if we're being honest. And Discovery Plus doesn't have a skew to any gender because nobody uses Discovery Plus. What is? I didn't even know that existed before all of this happened. Did you know what Discovery Plus was before all this happened, Amir?
No, that's actually I was gonna say that. I was like, I didn't even know Discovery Plus existed. Actually, that's not true. I didn't know Discovery Plus existed, but only because of like Disney Plus, like Disney Plus ads. They were talking about Discovery Plus in the ads, or maybe it was HBO Max ads. I don't know, but I saw Discovery Plus in the ads for another streaming service, and I don't know a single person that uses them.
Because
I forget that Discovery exists. Honestly, when I hear Discovery, I think of Animal Planet. That's
yeah,
pretty much it.
that's what everybody thinks of, and they mostly make nowadays like reality shows, and essentially what they're trying to say is that women only watch reality shows and they don't watch scripted shows, and they're also trying to lean more on reality content instead of unscripted reality content instead of scripted shows, which is ridiculous. Um and Yeah, it's just weird. It's like, where did they like? I'm sorry, I'm stuttering because I'm trying to figure out how to formulate my words of like, in what world do they think that they should take HBO, this extremely popular platform with a bunch of really popular shows that are constantly always being talked about on the internet and always generating discussions and praise, and folding that into Discovery rather than folding Discovery Plus into HBO Max? That's ridiculous, right? One of those is clearly the bigger platform by leaps and bounds. It's it makes no sense. So, apparently Warner Bros. Discovery also stated that kids content and animation content will be seeing a broad range of cuts across streaming and linear platforms. And man, the animation industry is already hurting a lot. And I hope that it can heal and come back stronger than ever, because these hardworking people deserve the world. They deserve to be unionized. They deserve to be paid what they are meant to be paid. They deserve to work reasonable hours and be expected to do a reasonable level of work as a human being who has other shit to do. Like, it's ridiculous how just animation in general is being treated as a medium. Man, Discovery sucks. Last but not least, and the linchpin, the thing that's probably causing all of this is, and I will say that I did the bare minimum research on this specific portion. This was like the last bit of notes I added. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I admit that I could be wrong. But too many people have been saying this for it to really be wrong. Not saying that a bunch of people can't be wrong, but apparently David Zaslav, I believe it's pronounced. It doesn't really matter. I don't like this person. Is apparently he's the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, and now Warner Brothers Discovery. Is apparently a far right conservative, Trump supporter, and bigot. And when you put all those things together, it makes sense why the things that are being canceled are being canceled. Like the Batgirl movie starring a Latino woman. Or like it makes me feel like shows like Harley Quinn are not going to exist anymore. And at the end of the day, all these decisions are really being made to pull Discovery out of a hole that they built by making horrible business decisions. And they have absolutely no care for the artists working in the industry or their customers. It's just a bunch of higher ups at Discovery who are using WB to save their asses and make more money. And that sucks, because Warner Brothers and HBO Max has such good content, and I hope that all this backlash forces them to. Oh yeah, their stock dropped. So yeah, if they were trying to do this to prevent stuff like that, and all it did to I'm gonna assume they're surprised because they're idiots. It did the opposite, and it ruined their what's the word I'm looking for? Their image. It ruined their image, and their stock is dropping, and people are like, if it switches to Discovery Plus, I might not use the app anymore. Like, and I feel that I hope somehow things change overall. Anything you got to say, Amir?
Yeah, I don't think that's why Batgirl got canceled. It might have been one of the reasons, but the primary reason I keep hearing as to why Batgirl got canceled is because early reviews of the movie, like early screenings of the movie, people were saying it was garbage, and they just didn't want to put out another film that was going to be review bombed like immediately. I still would have liked to have seen it, but I keep hearing consistently that early screenings of the movie said the movie was like comparable to the CW show, but like 2 hours long.
Well, I've seen far more that say that it was done to like save money because of something to do with taxes. I've seen a lot of people say that because it is just a cost cutting thing. Like that's what I've heard a lot of.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm just saying I keep hearing that the movie was garbage.
Yeah,
I would have liked to have seen it, but at the same time, if it was gonna be garbage in the beginning, I don't know.
but
I
I've
I don't know.
just whether it's bad or not, I don't think all those people's hard work, and especially since they already spent all that money on it, like you'd think it'd be better to, like I said, make some money than none.
That's yeah, no, I agree with that because I can only imagine getting that far in making something like it's essentially finished, and then the entire studio that I'm making it for is like, nope, can it? And I'm like, well, there goes almost like an entire year of incredibly hard work on a bunch of different people's parts. That sucks. That
Yeah,
does suck.
yeah, that sucks a lot. Hopefully, maybe we could bully them into releasing it on HBO Max at the very least. Uh, so nope. Have you seen it? I assume not, because otherwise you would have said
Nope.
something. Yep, you were for sure would have said something if you saw it. So I've seen Nope. I'm gonna give a spoiler-free review. I want to watch it with some friends. It was a fun experience. So before watching Nope, I saw a few mixed reviews that made me think it would be something like Us, where it was good overall, but falls flat in some areas. I'm glad to say it was the complete opposite for me. It honestly might have surpassed Get Out as my favorite Jordan Peele movie. Granted, I need to watch it again. Uh, but everything that makes this movie great is born out of mystery, so I won't say too much. Don't watch the second trailer. It gives away a bit too much. It doesn't completely spoil it, especially a big twist that happens, but it gives away a bit too much. Um, but I feel like any social commentary being made isn't worn on nope sleeves like Jordan Peele's other movies. It's at least not on first watch, but the closer you look, the more it's like he's ham fisting the message home. Um, the closer you look, and some people just completely couldn't put the pieces together. Um, and a lot of people haven't been liking it because of that because they felt like it was confusing. Um, I don't feel like it was confusing at all. Not to sound like a jerk or anything, but I personally pieced it all together as I watched the film and was surprised to find out after watching reviews that I kind of like hit the nail on the head like immediately after watching it and just thinking about it for a little bit. I immediately figured out kind of what the message was meant to be. Granted, you can take whatever you want from a piece of art, no matter what the original artist intended. They say once art is out there, it's no longer your own; it's everybody's. So you can take whatever you want from it. But I feel like when I went online and read articles and watched reviews on YouTube and went to Twitter to see what people were talking about, I feel like I like I pretty much kind of got what everybody else got upon multiple viewings in just one single sitting. And yeah, it's a it's a good movie. It's fun. Some people say it's not a horror movie. I disagree. None of his movies have really truly been straight horror movies, except maybe Us is the closest because it's kind of just a slasher. But they've all mostly been like thrillers. Get Out's more like a psychological thriller than it is a horror, but it also is scary and has horror elements, especially if you're black. And Us can also be scary sometimes too. And this one had some moments that I think for me were scarier than anything in Get Out or Us. There were some moments that were just like that was horrifying. Especially in the middle of the movie, there's some really scary things that happen that make you go, nope, nope. I just wouldn't be here. Why would I be here? I wouldn't be in this situation. Why would I do this? It's it can be scary sometimes. But yeah, there's some major clues that I missed about like kind of the what they were trying to story they were trying to tell, and even then I still kind of figured it out. So honestly, I feel like the people, like I said, I don't want to sound like a jerk, but like If you, some people like, especially if you've seen Get Out and Us, when you go, some people who go into a movie, they just don't want to think about it very hard. Um, and that's not me trying to say that they're dumb. Just because it takes you longer to figure something out doesn't mean you're an idiot. It just means that it takes you longer. And some people just don't care to go into a movie and have to think. You just want to enjoy something, a fun experience. And I think that Nope is just, without even understanding it, is still really fun, and there's a lot of really exciting moments. But that's me. But apparently a lot of people don't feel that way, and they feel like that they have to think too hard, and that ruins the experience for them. I don't think that would be a problem for you. I think you're a very intelligent man who would be able to figure it out. But yeah, it's a really good movie. I'd give it a 5 out of 5. Honestly, I think it's near perfection. It was a really good movie, but it's definitely one that requires you to think. Are you interested in it in any at all?
I mean, it's a Jordan Peele movie. Of course, I'm going to be interested in it. Jordan Peele is honestly one of my favorite filmmakers, which is, I feel like that's a wild statement to make, but I really do. I
No,
have
it's not.
not disliked any of his movies. Of course, Get Out obviously being his best so far that I've seen, but I mean, I don't know. I'm interested in Nope. I've been interested in Nope since I've seen the trailer of it, or since I've seen the trailer for it. I like aliens, so I mean, that's pretty cool, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty interested in it. I am interested to see if I understand everything the first time because I felt that way about Tenet, where people were saying that it was super confusing and way too confusing and they didn't understand it. And I'm like, I understood the very first time I watched it. So I'm interested to see if I understand this or not, but we will see. Maybe I'll go see it when I get paid because I have like $5 in my bank account right now. Rent really cleared me out.
Yeah. So speaking of aliens, there's a new Alien game in the work, a single player action horror Alien game. And it will have a storyline set between Alien and aliens. We know nothing else but that, but I'm always happy for a new Aliens game. I like me some Aliens, one of my favorite horror franchises. Um, I'm excited to see what this game is. Project L, the League of Legends fighting game, will be free to play, surprising no one, because that's just the thing that Riot does. You know, for those who don't know, like I said, League of Legends fighting game, and it will be an assist based fighting game, similar to like a Marvel vs. Capcom or Dragon Ball Fighters, with 2 characters per team. It will apparently have like a direction based combat system similar to Smash Bros or Multiverses or DNF Duel. So yeah, that sounds cool. That's a way of playing fighting games that I've been getting used to with Multiverses. So I'm there definitely interested to see how that works, and I'm excited for this game. It looks like it'll be great. I'll probably be maining Echo. Echo looks like he's just such a cool character. He has a cool design. He has cool powers. Everything about Echo is cool. Yeah. Bayonetta. So there's a trailer for Bayonetta 3. It's released in August 23rd, 2022. Um, and so in my notes I say once I get a Switch, but I've gotten to the point where I don't think I'll ever get a Switch. I might, who knows? But I think honestly I'm gonna wait the next couple years for whenever Nintendo releases their next console, because I think at this point I'm like I want a more powerful Nintendo hardware to play games on. So I think I'll just wait till that happens. So I won't be able to play 2 and 3 until then, or either Breath of the Wild. So that's the only thing that has me wanting to do it, is like I want to play Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild 2 when it comes out. But we'll see. But yeah, the reason I wanted to even talk about Bayonetta is because I've been playing it first, and also Platinum is planning on expanding their studio. So Platinum hired a Nintendo veteran, Takeo Yamane, as the company's new chief business officer, and promises significant changes. It seems like they essentially just want to become a bigger player in the games industry and publish their own games rather than develop them. For those who are wondering what a publisher does versus a developer, developers are the people actually making the game, whereas the publishers are the people selling it. Publishers essentially fund the games and produce physical copies to deal with branding, advertising, and variety of ways. Um, and Platinum wants to be able to do that themselves. They want to expand their team to potentially 1,000 employees, which would make them one of the biggest studios in Japan. Like Game Freak, the studio that makes Pokemon, only has around like 300, and so does Platinum. But as of now, their goal is to get up to 500, because that's what they'll need to operate with no problem for the time being. So Platinum makes hack and slash games. They're gods at that, and to say I'm interested in this expansion is an understatement. So far I've only played technically two at this point. I haven't beaten Bayonetta, but the one that I've played all the way through several times is Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, and I have Bayonetta. The Bayonetta's on my list, and Near Automata also is on my list. And they're just really good at making hack and slash games. And if they want to get bigger and make better hack and slash games, who am I? A person whose favorite genre of video games is hack and slash to complain. I'm really excited to see what they're gonna do moving forward. Have you played any Platinum games, or have any of them like caught your attention or made you want to play them, like Bayonetta, Nier Automata, Metal
I
Gear?
have played Bayonetta. I wanted to play Nier Automata when I was in like ninth grade, and then I started watching YouTube videos on it, and it is far more depressing of a game than I need in my life. So I don't know that I ever will play Nier
That's fair.
Automata.
I feel like
But I've played.
that's.
Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say I feel like there's also something that might keep you from playing The Last of Us.
I don't. I mean, like, I don't really care too much about I played a little bit of The Last of Us 1. That's not really something that like is holding me back from playing The Last of Us 1. Last of Us 2 maybe, but I also just don't really care about The Last of Us all that much. Like as a franchise.
See, I feel
I'm
like
not that into zombies or anything. Like it's not there's nothing really
yeah.
for
So
me.
I want you to play Last of Us Part 2 for the combat, but here's the thing: since you don't care for the story, whenever Factions 2 come out, that will probably interest you more because it apparently will have some sort of story aspect, but it will mostly be essentially a multiplayer game. So that is probably where I will finally get you to experience the amazing combat of The Last of Us Part 2 of stealth gameplay because it's great.
Yeah, maybe. Perhaps. But yeah, no, I don't really. I played Bayonetta 1 though. It was alright. It was just a bit over the top. And unlike Devil May Cry, I feel it just didn't have the charm of Devil May Cry to keep like the over the top moments fun for me. I don't know.
I like over the top stuff, man. I like the rule of cool is how hack and slash games thrive. It's great. Um, so there were some GTA 6 leaks. Um, Most of this info will be lifted from an IGN article written by Joe Screbbles. So it will apparently have a female Latino lead protagonist, like we've heard rumored a very long time ago. It will be a Bonnie and Clyde inspired story of two bank robbers. And there have been rumors that they might be like siblings, but there's also been people saying that they might be like lovers. So who knows? Um, and I can only assume you'll probably play as both because that's been kind of like a thing that they've been doing in GTA lately. So I don't think they'll change it now. So they'll give
In
you
true GTA fashion, I think they might be both.
yeah. It will apparently start in Vice City, but new cities will be added via updates. And it will have more interior areas than any other GTA has ever had. Which I've told you this before. I think games instead of expanding outward should expand inward and have more interior areas and underground areas and higher areas and stuff like that. And I'm glad that Rockstar's doing that. It was codenamed Project Americas due to its original plan to include large territories across North and South America, which was scrapped to avoid crunch. But it seems like they're still going to be doing the same thing, but instead of doing it all at once, they're going to like release they're going to release a certain portion of the story. Maybe it'll be probably a complete story, but in like future DLC, it'll GTA 5 has been around for what 7 years. It's been around for a very long time. Almost 10, right? Because it came out 2013. Jesus Christ. GTA 5 has almost been around for 10 years, Amir. Where is time gone? I'm about to be 22 years old. Oh no, this is the wrong time to have existential crisis. Um, but yeah, GTA 5 has almost been around for 10 years, and it seems like they plan on um because I don't think it was planned from the get go that GTA would go on this long, but it got so popular with GTA Online that they decided to milk it for all that they could while also working on other games. Which for some reason people think that they weren't also working on other games at the same time. Games just take a long time to make. Red Dead Redemption 2 took almost 10 years. So it makes sense that a newer game like GTA 6 would take even longer or just as long. So it seems like now they're gonna actively be going out of their way to kind of I'm gonna say milk, but not necessarily milk, but to like a Destiny, like a what are those type of games called? Games as a service, right? Like those type of games. It seems like they're gonna try to attempt that model with GTA 6. And you know, you're gonna have your story, you're gonna have your online, but they're gonna slowly add more. They're gonna slowly add more areas and more story missions and probably more online stuff like as the game exists. So probably for like 10 years they're gonna support that, maybe even more at this point. And that is interesting to say the least. Is I guess it really just depends on if that stuff will cost money and how much money that will cost. And also how much, like how big will the base game be? Will it be worth full price, or will they try to shortchange us by having, because they're gonna add more, have the main game be smaller and shorter than it should be? But we'll see. It may launch between April 2023 and March 2024. Probably, I'm betting around 2024, 2025. But the developers say that it's at least 2 years away, like an actual developer, a person who worked on the game. So I would be more inclined to believe them. Um, I'm going to read this quote directly from an article, the IGN article. Much of the report focuses on progressive changes at Rockstar in recent years, including more inclusive office culture, a focus on reducing crunch and removal of abusive managers. Excuse me. Conversation of contractors and full time employee as into flip. I'm sorry, I completely butchered that sentence. Conversion of contractors into full time employees and a restructure to improve working conditions. Morale is said to be higher at the company as a result, and one source has said Rockstar was a boys club transformed into a real company. So essentially, Rockstar's gone through a transformation of going from a horrible company that crunched, that treated contractors horribly, and was probably a place where people got sexually harassed, specifically women. And now they're starting to make some significant changes to fix all of those things. They're looking into hiring contractors full time, make it less of a boys club, and firing abusive managers and stuff like that. And that's always a good thing to hear. So before I go into this last related thing, how do you feel about this?
I'm just salty that Red Dead Redemption Online got like
Oh my god,
canned.
bro.
I'm sorry. That's the only thing I care about whenever I hear Rockstar is the fact that they canned this.
I'm so
Anyway,
mad that they did that, because they easily could have just made it as good as GTA Online and milked that for money as well. They're a big studio. They could have done it. At the very least, the only thing I want is Undead Nightmares 2. Because they teased it so hard with that vampire, and it made everybody go, "Oh my god, Undead Nightmare 2 is probably gonna have vampires and werewolves and like probably like, I don't know, Frankenstein's monster or like mummies or something like that." And I was like, probably, and it'll be cool, but no, god damn it. I'm so mad. That would have been so cool. I really wish we got an
it's
Undead
just like
Nightmares 2.
they keep milking GTA Online, but there's so many people that want Red Dead 2 Online to thrive. And the last thing they did was add a bounty hunting update like a year and a half ago and then just stop touching it and then announce that they're not working on it anymore. Like, are you serious? Really? Really?
They didn't even
And
try.
yes, I want Undead Nightmares 2 so bad. Cowboys and like the supernatural go together so well. It
So
could be
well.
so good.
So well. It's, man, I want it. I need it. But speaking of Red Dead, because I'm so glad that you transitioned this to Red Dead, because that's the last thing I have to talk about. So since the main one of the main characters, because it's likely gonna be two, and you switch between them, of Red Dead, excuse me, GTA 6 will be a woman. I want Red Dead 3 to have a female protagonist, specifically Sadie Adler from Red Dead Redemption 2, because I feel like they're kind of making it obvious that that's where they're going next, because spoiler alert for both games. I assume I wouldn't be spoiling you at all, Amir.
No, I haven't completed the main story, but like I know like everything about the main story. Like,
Yeah, so
yeah, you wouldn't be spoiling it.
spoiler alert for Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. So the main characters of both those games are dead. So whenever they make a third one, which they inevitably will, the main character will be someone new, or maybe it will be someone old, like John's son. But if I had to guess, I feel like they might move forward with Sadie as the main character, because they set her up as one of the coolest characters in the entirety of the franchise. She's one of my favorite characters in the game, in the franchise right now. And maybe they go GTA route and you play as two characters, and one of them is Sadie and one of them is John Marston. Excuse me. Is his son name also John?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I'm gonna look it up. But how would you feel about a Red Dead Redemption 2 where you play as Sadie?
Okay, so with the epilogue of Red Dead
Oh, his name is Jack.
2, Jack Marston. Okay, so with the epilogue of Red Dead 2, you really could, and I know you're not gonna like this, but you really could make it so that John is the main character of Red Dead 3, or like John and Sadie. If you do like a multiple protagonist thing, it could be John and Sadie. But like, they could just bring back John and like retcon Red Dead 1.
No,
So,
that
like,
ending was
they hinted
amazing.
towards that.
That was one of the greatest endings of all of video games. You can't just ruin that.
I mean, they hinted at retconning that, or at least like joked about retconning that. With the epilogue of Red Dead 2, they really could.
No, I
They
feel like
really could.
the epilogue of Red Dead 2 was just filling in the gaps, really.
They could really retcon it.
I don't think
and
they
I
will.
wouldn't mind it.
I don't think they will though. I think if anything,
I wouldn't mind it.
it'll be Jack or Sadie. I think. Like I don't.
I feel like it is gonna be like I feel like Sadie's a like surefire.
Yeah, it's just
But-
a matter of like when it'll take place. Like, will it take place what Sadie was doing during all the stuff with John when he was going after all of his old gang members, or will it take place after? Because I feel like the further you go, the further you get away from the Wild West. You know. Because this already
All I
takes
want-
place in the early 1900s, so we're already getting really close towards like it no longer being the Wild West and it being more like that early 1920s, like that era, which I feel like in the next Red Dead there'll be like way more big cities.
I hope so, because whatchamacallit was
Saint Denis was one of the funnest
Yeah,
places
Saint
to
Denis.
be. It was
It's-
so fun to be in Saint Denis.
also at night it has a really, really creepy aesthetic. Which
does.
brings me to my next thing.
When you run into that
I
vampire.
want Wait, what were you saying?
I said like when you run into that vampire.
Yeah, no, it gets foggy, and like the swamp area already reminds me of Hunt Showdown, which if you haven't played Hunt Showdown, you really should. It's a very interesting game. We'll talk about that like probably off podcast. But like the swamp area already reminds me of Hunt Showdown, but then like it has a creepy aesthetic like in the actual city at night. And this just makes me want like The Witcher, but like in a cowboy era, like basically you're like a cowboy hunting down supernatural. That's all I want.
Yeah, I've had
That's
an idea
all
of a
I want.
game similar to that for so long, and I was like, man, that would be fun. That would be so fun.
Like an entire like open world game, side quests, you can take on like monster hunts and stuff like that, and it just all takes place in the Wild West. I would love that so much.
Yeah, I'm excited.
You
to-
really should play Hunt Showdown though. Hunt Showdown's really good.
What's that? Actually, no.
Okay, so Hunt Showdown. Thank you very much for asking this question.
Okay.
Hunt Showdown is a first-person shooter, but like it's a first-person PvE shooter. So they drop you and a bunch of other players in this large area. You can either do solos, duos, or trios. You're all dropped in this large area. It's kind of a battle royale, but it's not a battle royale. And your goal, it takes place not in the Wild West because you're technically in the Louisiana Bayou, but it takes place around that era. So like it's all like Wild West aesthetics. And you're surrounded by zombies, witches, crows. There's like this weird like swamp monster that's not impossible to kill, but it's better that you avoid the swamp instead of trying to kill it. And your entire goal is to collect 3 clues, which will tell you where the boss is on the map. Then you have to be the first team or person to kill the boss and then extract. The problem is that it's like every man for themselves and everybody wants the boss token. So you can all go and like wind up all like killing each other before you get the boss token. There have been people that have like followed entire teams to like where the boss location is, waited till outside the boss location, and then killed the team as they were coming out, and then everybody fights over the boss token to extract. It's crazy. And once you have the boss token, you're visible to every single player on the map. So now you're being hunted by everybody else, and while still trying to avoid the zombies, the monsters, like everything on the map. And it's really, really creepy. And if you're like the type of person where you're like, oh yeah, I can get through horror games as long as there's no sound. Sound is the main mechanic in this game. It's how people find you. It's how you find people. It's how you find bosses and stuff like that. Like everything is sound related. If you get too close to crows and crows fly off, like if you hear crows flying in like some random area of the map, that means another player's over there. if you hear like a dead horse like whinny or like dogs barking or like stepping on branches and stuff like that, that's how people hunt you down. Because there is no, I mean, there's like a small mini map, but it doesn't show like enemies or anything like that. And the only ways to find out where enemies are if you won't directly see them is with the mini map, or not with the if they have a boss token or if you hear a sound. And so you're really using sound as like the primary mechanic.
I feel like
It's so good and it is so genius. And I'm really skipping over a lot because I don't want to like just drone on about this game for hours, but it is a very, very good game.
yeah. So I looked it up and I was like, I've seen some of this before. I'm gonna watch this like preview from IGN, but later. But yeah, I feel like one of these days, me, you, and Craig are gonna have to sit down and just have a discussion about Red Dead Redemption 2 because I feel like the three of us really like Red Dead Redemption. I know Craig loves Red Dead Redemption. I feel like that would be fun. But yeah, we gotta wrap this up. So as usual, you can find my ass below me, Amir's at below him, and the Mustardcast at below that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Peace.